Okay, let me ask you something. Have you ever stared at a blank document, knowing you need to write a report, but suddenly find yourself organizing your sock drawer instead? Yeah, we've all been there. That battle between what you should do and what you want to do can feel like a personal failure. But what if I told you it has almost nothing to do with willpower and everything to do with the basic wiring of your brain? Let's unpack the science behind our own procrastination. So let's start with the big one, right? The procrastination problem. We're going to reframe this whole thing, not as some kind of character flaw, but as what it really is, a deeply human and frankly, a totally predictable experience. And this brings us to the question at the heart of it all. Why on earth is it so incredibly difficult to just start that workout, or file those taxes, or study for that exam? We know the long-term rewards are good for us, but that short-term resistance, it can feel like hitting a brick wall. And here is the most important thing to get right up front. This is not about you being lazy or undisciplined. The struggle is rooted in the very wiring of our brains, in our psychology and neuroscience. So let's just take all that guilt off the table and look at the actual science. To really get the science, we have to go back to one of the most famous experiments in all of psychology. You've probably heard of it, but what it shows us about our brains is it's absolutely fascinating. So the whole experiment really boils down to this one concept: delayed gratification. It's pretty much the scientific term for patience and self-control. Can you pass up a small, good thing right now for a much better thing later? The setup is so simple, and that's what makes it so brilliant. You've got a little kid, a yummy treat, and a choice. Ring the bell and eat that one marshmallow right now, or wait all alone for 15 agonizing minutes and get 2. Seriously, what would you have done when you were 4? And this is where it gets really mind-blowing. The researchers followed these kids for decades, and the results were just stunning. The children who actually managed to wait for that second marshmallow, they grew up to have incredible advantages across the board. We're talking higher test scores, better social skills, a greater ability to cope with stress, and even better physical health as adults. Now, other research has added some nuance, showing that a kid's environment also plays a big part. But the core finding is still so powerful. This one simple skill, the ability to delay gratification, was a massive predictor of future success. So what in the world was going on inside the brains of those kids? Why could some of them wait and others just couldn't? Well, the answer lies in this constant tug-of-war that's happening between two different parts of your brain. Just think of your brain as having two competing systems. First, you've got the hot system. That's your emotional, impulsive, ancient limbic brain that's screaming, "Eat the marshmallow now." But then you've got the cool system, your rational, strategic prefrontal cortex that's calmly saying, "Hey, hang on. If we wait, we can get 2. Procrastination is basically what happens every time that hot system wins the argument. Now, that cool system superpower, it actually has a name: inhibitory control. This is a core executive function. You could think of it as the CEO of your brain. It's the mental process that lets you hit the brakes on your impulses and stay focused on a long-term goal. It is the muscle behind delayed gratification. Okay, so understanding this whole brain system is totally key, because this is where we really flip the script on what we think we know. It suggests that maybe our entire concept of discipline and willpower is just wrong. This quote right here, it's a total game changer. Procrastination isn't you being lazy. It's your brain trying to protect you from something it sees as a threat. Things like the stress or the boredom or even the potential failure that comes with a difficult task. So here's the play-by-play in your brain. Your emotional hot system reacts instantly. It tags an unpleasant task like do taxes as a danger, and it sounds the alarm, triggering this urge to run away. And this all happens so fast that your rational cool system, the part that knows you really need to do your taxes, is basically left in the dust. And this is exactly how it becomes such a nasty habit. The task feels bad, so you avoid it by, say, watching TV. Instantly, you feel better. That feeling of relief is a reward, and it trains your brain to believe that avoidance is a fantastic strategy for feeling good. It's a powerful, self-perpetuating loop. Okay, so if our brains are basically wired for avoidance, are we just doomed? No, absolutely not. This is where we get into the practical, smarter ways to act that actually work with our brain's wiring instead of fighting against it. So forget about trying to power through it. That's like fighting your brain's alarm system head-on. The real key is to use strategies that are so small the alarm doesn't even notice them. And please remember this critical phrase. Action creates motivation, not the other way around. You don't wait to feel motivated, you act your way into feeling it. This is one of the most effective little tricks you can possibly use. You want to go for a run? Just commit to putting on your running shoes and walking out the front door. That's it. Your brain's alarm system isn't going to see 2 minutes as a threat. But once you start, well, inertia and the brain's desire to finish what it starts often kick in, and you end up doing way more. All right, here are a few more brain-friendly tools for your toolkit. First, habit stacking. You just link a new habit to one you already do, like meditating for 1 minute right after you brush your teeth. Then there's temptation bundling. You pair a task you hate with something you love, like only watching your favorite show while you're on the treadmill. And finally, cognitive reframing. This is a powerful mental shift. Simply changing the words from I have to I choose to gives the power back to your rational brain and quiets down that emotional alarm. All of this leads us to a completely new way of thinking about discipline and what the real path to achieving our goals actually looks like. I mean, this quote just says it all perfectly. Stop trying to be a hero who relies on superhuman effort. Instead, become an engineer who designs a life where doing the right thing is actually the easy thing. So, the ultimate takeaway here is this. True, sustainable discipline is not about punishing yourself or forcing yourself to do things you hate. It's about being a clever architect of your own life. It's about creating systems and routines that gently guide you toward your goals, making those good choices feel less like a battle and more like the path of least resistance. And that leaves us with one final question for you to think about. It's not about changing your whole life overnight. It's about engineering one small improvement. So, what's the one tiny system you can design today that will make a better choice tomorrow just a little bit easier?